Welcome to Progressive Mindset Podcast. My name is Natalie Potts, business coach and mentor, and each week I'll bring you an inspiring personal message to help you unlock creating a living life full of energy, action, impact and happiness. And today I'm delighted to be welcoming on John. John is a men's relationship coach and mentor who helps men work through a challenging phase of their life, those times when men are going through breakups, divorce and relationship issues. As I always do, I'm going to hand over to John to introduce himself. John, thank you for joining me today. I always start with a little intro from yourself. It's always best from the person themselves. Tell me a little bit about what you do, your niche, and anything that you want to share.
Yeah, great. No, delighted to be able to talk to you. So it's a real privilege. Since I followed your journey a bit through the coaching academy as well, and there's quite a few parallels there. But yeah, I mean, right. So my story. I've worked probably in this corporate space and in the FMCG industry for over 20 years now. Quite a bit over 20 years. It's quite alarming when I think back to from when I started to now. So yeah, a number of leading brands in different categories, and I've held sort of a number of mainly in sales is where I've been, and sort of leadership positions within that time. And there was a time when I got probably about 5 years ago, 6 years ago, where I'd left one company with a view to starting up my own business. I got to that stage where I just felt I needed a change, and it was different. What I was focusing on then was very much around working in that corporate space, trying to be a consultant in there, but with some emphasis around helping businesses recruit people in. Because I'd had good experience of managing teams and being involved in interview and recruitment processes, etc. And I really enjoyed that. And I wanted to sort of get hold of that and run with it. But I guess it's one of those where maybe, I just didn't have the belief in myself at that time to do it. And I did sort of a couple of projects, and then it sort of dried up a little bit. And you start panicking, and then I got an opportunity to go back in and work full time for somebody. So I've been doing that, but it was always in the back of my mind, sort of a nagging away in terms of, there is more to what I can do, and you want to be looking at something different, and that led me to coaching, or to start looking at coaching. Thankfully, I had a really good friend of mine who's sort of coach/sales trainer. He'd worked for a lot of American pharmaceutical businesses, so he was big on Stephen Covey and Tony Robbins from years ago. This shows how long ago it is. I can remember him lending me CDs to play in the car of Stephen Covey's book. It's a long time ago. I'm sure you can get it in audio format now at the push of a button. So I started looking around, and he actually recommended the Coaching Academy. He hadn't trained with them himself, but he'd heard good things about them. I attended the 2 free days that they put on up in Leeds. That'd be sort of July 2019. Yeah. Really liked what they had to say. Sometimes you can go in a bit skeptical, a bit cynical, can't you? And like, oh, what is this all about? And is it just a way that they're going to get some cash out of you? Looking at it in its harshest format, which is a bit unfair. But no, I really enjoyed the content, and signed up. And that for me was probably one of the better decisions that I've made, without a doubt. It really gave me the catalyst to start looking at myself, and really appreciating the self-development and sort of creating a really clear sort of journey and career map for me from there. And that's really led to where I'm at this point, where I've worked with a number of coaches and a business coach of late to really drill down into a niche, because that's where I was getting a bit, overwhelmed a little bit, in terms of what you can coach in so many areas, can't you? And I just didn't see myself being that generic, life coach. I'm not really, really grabs me as a title anyway. Works for some people, but not for me. And I did want to focus on a specific area, and that led me to a couple of areas. Could have been going to the corporate world. That's what but it didn't really excite me. I think I'd have a feel of that area. So then I looked at, okay, well, what other knowledge and experience have I had? And it is going more of at a personal level. I've been through divorce and breakup. I've had mental health issues along with that, and well-being to manage across quite a long period of time. And that's where I think my passion was. So it leads me to a niche of working with men as a relationship impact coach. So, what I want to do is help men recover from sort of challenging and stressful phase of their life, and ensure they exit with clarity over creating the future that they want. And within that, that encapsulates relationships, well-being, mindset, which is a minefield in itself, but it really is just getting into that space and trying to, help people where I thought the whole thing around breakup and divorce and the legal process is tough for males. It's tough for females as well. It's tough, it's a really horrible process for everybody, but seeing it through the lens from a male capacity, I felt feel there's an opportunity to go into that space and use coaching beneficially, really.
Well put.
Yeah.
Love that. Completely engrossed in that. Yeah. I'm going to go back to the point you made about listening to people like Tony Robbins and everything and how long ago it is, because I've been absolutely obsessed with Jim Rohn recently.
Right.
I've got a lot of his material that I've listened to throughout the years, but it's proper old style. When you listen to the Audible now, on the Audible app, you get that funny old music coming as well, like the corporate style business music. Like, wow, this is really old. But the content is relevant. It's also what we still don't do. And I guess what I've noticed is when you get into the world of coaching and it's great to be in networks of people who get it and are like-minded and inspirational, but you do then start that comparisonitis with people, and you do then put pressure on yourself in a different form to what you would have beforehand, because you're working with people that are pushing you to be better all the time as well. You can never, sometimes then you don't feel good enough, etc. So you do have to have a bit of an understanding that, taking that step back and seeing that generally people in the world don't think like this. If you have Jim Rohn and then suddenly people don't know anything about him still, and it's like, but they were talking about this years ago, people still aren't doing it. And that has led me on to thinking then, well, that's because people don't understand themselves well enough. And I don't think some people don't want to. And I think it's really hard. And I think people go, like we've all got different associations with the language of life coaching as such, for sure. But people don't want to, they see it as, oh, no, I don't want to do all that. I don't need to do all of that. But it's like, but you do need to understand yourself. And we've had better relationships and better businesses and better wellness if we understood how we work better and understood ourselves before getting a relationship, starting a business, helping others. If you don't know yourself, how can you really grow anything like that?
Yeah, I absolutely massively agree. And I think that's one of the key points which I will look to bring in as a coach is it's you first, it's self-care.
Yeah.
And it took me time to really get to grips with that personally. For years, you're thinking self-care is selfish, and never made any progress with it, and it's only these past few years which have been a massive turnaround, huge turnaround for me. From when, I'd done the classic route of, you go and see a doctor, you get prescribed medication, you go and see a counsellor, you go and see a therapist, and all it's doing is just keeping you in that whirlpool. It's not moving you anywhere, it's keeping you in that whirlpool. I always like that, there's a quote, I quite like James Bond movies, and there's a quote in the last one, Spectre, where he says, you're a kite danced in a hurricane, Mr. Bond. And I just love that sort of analogy, and that's what I totally felt like. And until I've really got a grip of myself through coaching, it's been massive to start looking at yourself. And it's great. You learn so much, and particularly in terms of values. I mean, the whole, you think you've got values and morals and but if you ask somebody, tell me your top 10 values, they'll struggle, Okay,
right.
And that was a real sort of, that aha light bulb moment for me. And maybe it's something from a society perspective, particularly within this country, that it's that reserved sort of British nature. Maybe you go across the Atlantic and it's a $1 billion industry, isn't it? Coaching. I mean, it's as frequent. You have a personal trainer, you have your dentist, your doctor, a nutritionist, and you have a coach. And I think it has so many benefits. You can dip in and out of working with a coach, or you can do. Dive in and have them for the long term. There's so many benefits from to really move you forwards, and that whole thing around awareness and just unlocking capability, and just getting you thinking a different way. It is really, really powerful. I think, from obviously heading towards that industry, well, being in the industry, I'd love more people to get on board with it, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I remember a time actually we did, when I was in working corporate and we did a 3-day leadership team build away, years ago, and we could go away and have nice evenings. And and we had to, in groups of 6, and we had to share our story and be vulnerable. And for me, that was always like whoa, barrier. And I was like, no, work's work, home's home. And I literally was sat with 5 men, and they all had their mouths open at the end of like my cover by 5 minutes, because they're like, we've never heard that from you. Because it was quite like, it was emotional and everything. And we all were, because we were asked some core questions that really got us to tap into us and then explain that to others. And again, there's another thing, like we know within coaching, saying something and writing something down has a different impact and effect on the way we think and see things. And I'm a massive believer in that. So actually talking and saying it out loud was a big step in itself, and being vulnerable. And then I was looking in, and I went into 9 months purely working with a coach. Just all my goal was to focus on what 6 key leadership skills I wanted to possess. And when I say possess that, I mean that it came across in my behaviours and the actions that I did as a lead, and how I was as a leader with my teams. So I really and I just spent 9 months just solidly working on it. And one of them was about being vulnerable, because it's so powerful. And we talk a lot about it again now in businesses, like it's new, and it's like, well, it's not new. We should have done it, and we should be doing it more.
Yeah.
And to be talking about the fact, like I say, I don't go to therapy all the time, but I'll go when I feel there's moments. I remember in January, and I was just come out Christmas, and I was like, I just feel like a little cycle here. I'm day in, day out, and I've got loads going on my mind. There's not many people I need to share it with in my world. I've got a certain therapist I go to, and I was just like, I just need some time with her, and it was amazing again. So I think it's being, and where I know I'm very confident, me sharing that with people, then people think, okay, maybe I can do it, and things like that, because you need to be a leader, exactly that, in life, in business, whatever, and sometimes empower people to take the way. And that's where I've got this big thing now about looking at self-confidence, then that it's more than just being confident, but it's others believing in you on that journey as well, or saying you can do this, I've got your back, or that type of thing, to get you on that kind of that nudge on starting that route. This is what I love about doing this. It's the same with building your business, and you say you're going to go next, but you are in that space, as you said, you are in it. You just at different moments, different points, and it's about getting out there, collaborating, networking, sharing things, help. And I'm a big believer, like you say, Tony Robbins, one of his quotes is secret to living is giving. Yeah. I've tried to put that in the forefront of everything I do now, opposed to the way I see other people building their businesses. I think this is right for me.
Yeah. No, it's I totally get that. And again, I think that, the point you make about sort of, taking that leadership and the area around vulnerability, it is coming in more. It is. I'm seeing more of it. I'm seeing a lot more businesses talk about it. Well-being is getting pushed up the agenda. I have a sort of at the minute a doubt is I hope it's not just sort of a box ticking exercise, and we need to be doing this, and which it can be. I've experienced that in certain companies for sure. But let's hope it's not. Let's hope it gets the recognition it deserves. And I think it just still comes with a bit of a stigma, doesn't it? Again, the whole thing. As soon as you mention, I could see a therapist, people will think, oh right, is she one step from the nutty farm or something like that? The labels that we give to things still are really prominent. Across many aspects of society, it's still a problem that we have in this country, and it's probably been heightened with various things in the past 5 or 6 years as well. But I think it's good that you can start being open and talk about it. And I certainly find that, even across my friends, lads who I've known for 30 plus years, and you start talking about it, you then realise, God, they've got their problems as well, and they just deal with it in a different way. But it sort of gives them a bit of a permission and space to talk to you, about it as well. And that was probably one of the turning points for me, because I'd suffered sort of with mental health silently for a good 10 years. And I can remember 10 or 11 years it was, and there was a group of us, and we'd gone up Snowdon, and it's just when we'd come down, it was a lovely October morning, one weekend, and just come down to the bottom. I was with a mate of mine, we were just chatting, and he opened up straight away and said he was having some mental health problems. And I said, you know what? Me too. And at that time, we got interrupted by somebody else, so we didn't continue the conversation. But about a day later, he texted me and said, I didn't forget what you said. Let's catch up on it. And since then, we've had this really nice relationship where we dip in and out, check in on each other.
Yeah.
And you know, it's just finding that out. You know, I probably would never have known. But I'm glad he sort of mentioned it, and it sort of opened the floodgates for me then, and gave me the confidence. And you know, when you start sharing it, but again, that's a really, you know, powerful move to make.
Yeah, and it's even that it helps you so much with, just like we said, yourself, but your family as well, and your friends. And you can't, I don't work with them per se, and I'm clear on that and how you help people. But I remember, like, my dad a couple of years ago was like, you know, we lost my granddad and things. He was like, I'm really anxious, and I was like, whoa. I was like, Dad's like the Tony Soprano of the family. He holds everything together. You know, the cynical strength. And I was like, oh, I was like, what do I do with that? And you know, helping other family members and things. It's it's interesting, and I think that's when it takes you back to the understanding, you know, others and how you can support, and knowing that it's cool to do that. You know, like we're not perfect in any way, and I think as well that sometimes people that are in your natural home networks, family and stuff, sometimes they should be inspiring, engaging, empowering you, but sometimes they're not, and they don't understand why you're doing things. And you, like that, just sharing that relationship piece there, you have to reach out and find out in different places, I think. And those relationships, I've known some people for like a year or two, and some of the relationship and the way we get on just feels so much more natural than some people I've known for years and years. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, now I can relate to that for sure. Yeah.
So how does this, how you find, I guess the question I've got for you around going into the relationship side of coaching, how challenging do you find that in terms of, as well with men, kind of, it is like that therapy part of admitting you've got a problem, isn't it? Admitting that you need coaching in that, or you want help in that, is a big step, isn't it, at times? Have you found that for people? Have you found that I don't know, have you found that you've come across that?
No, you're right. It is a huge step, and I think there's a lot which needs to go on in this area. There needs to be a big area around educating men that this support is available for a start. You know, I think there's some, you know, there is traditional classic disciplines out there, as we've touched upon, whether it's counselling, therapy, etc. And also there's a number of sort of communities which grow out of charities like Mind or I guess Shout and Heads Together, all sorts like that, which men may move towards. But I think in terms of specifically around sort of the area of breakup and divorce, it seems to be very it's dominated by females, I think, in there as well. So for me, there's a big piece about raising awareness for men's support. It does exist. There's some, I think, again, in America and sort of Canada, it's more, you know, more prominent there. Maybe they're a bit more open in how they talk about things. But that is going to be a challenge. It is. It's because, you know, it's how you pitch it in, you know, as well. You want to. I think a lot of the conversation that men will have, it's sort of down the pub with the mates, you know, a quick 5 minutes, and that's it. It's off the chest. Have a bit of a whinge and a moan or whatever, and then get on with it. But it's trying to cut through that. And I think that a way of doing it is to really, you know, what I want to do is make real positive steps with the family law process, you know, and work with family law lawyers. I think that's key. And I've already spoken to a couple of people in there, and they're very interested in that. I think that's a good way of raising an awareness of it as well, because if you've got, I mean, that's what I found, you know, through my experience, you know, when I went through a legal sort of dispute and process, it was awful. Absolutely awful. You know, it just leaves you cold. You know, you mentioned anxiety earlier from your dad. You know, that is just the whole way through the process. It's, you know, so if you've got a family law practice doing sort of the corporate social responsible thing and saying, right, alongside, we're going to manage all the legal stuff, you know, the nitty gritty, the things we have to do when it goes to court. But actually, we've got this guy here who is a coach. He's going to support you. He delivers X, Y, and Z for you along the way. and he will manage a relationship with you. But when everything is signed, done, and your divorce is done, he'll still work with you afterwards. And I think that's where you've got to get through. You've got to raise awareness, that support being out there. It's the challenge of getting men to talk is, I know that is going to be a massive, massive thing, because it took me a long time to get to it. But I know that it's, once you do it, it's sort of the doors are truly well blown off, and you it can really transform you, in terms of how you operate, and give you that confidence back, which is a real key element of what I want to do with this as well.
Yeah, no, massively. It's massively inspiring, and like you say, there are people doing it, but then again, it's not enough, and you have to lead the way with that. And then as well, like I say with people that I came up against someone in the coaching world this week that was, or the other week, that was around, your kind of conflict of interest. And I was like, wow, I don't really hear that in coaching. And I was like, okay. And I thought, well, no, because, and you could argue this about any business, I guess, in fairness, but our characters and our personality and how we do things resonates with people in different ways, and that's the key part. Even to the point of sometimes I know that I am a lot of energy, etc., but sometimes for some people that wouldn't be what they'd want at all, because that would make them feel very nervous from the starter, or the fact that I'm quite direct communicator and I like people to take action. It's like, then if you come to me and you haven't taken action, it will be kind of a, what's going on? Explore that, you committed to that, what was the reason? So I think that we all offer something different and unique, and that's where we can empower ourselves to feel that we just need to give time to things and build things that feel right for us. And it's nice to talk to somebody where it's not just all around the getting the sales and doing this coaching thing. It's about actually just building, but the reasons why you're doing, they always come back to the reason why you're doing it.
Yeah, definitely. And that's the thing I've learned from doing the huge values assessment and really getting that congruency with what I do on a daily basis. And probably in my top 3 is helping others, and I think as a coach it's got to be probably one of the leading ones. And so I'm it's not about earning vast amounts of money from it. Yeah, of course, I'm not a bit lying if I didn't want to say you want to derive some income from it. Of course you do. But as things stand at the minute, I think that whole learning piece is very important for me, and what you can give back. And it's an exciting sort of journey to start on, see where it can go. That bit you touched on in terms of coach and community, that's something which really struck me as well, in that I find that with the coaching academy, it's great, it's friendly, because people are like-minded. I've only come up against one person. It sounds like a very similar thing, where I sort of reached out to her because she was sort of in a relationship space. She dealt with women. It was just for a chat, how was she getting on, and she labelled me as the enemy. And I'm like, wow, that's really, it's a bit strong. I don't even know you. That's a bit harsh, But and I don't, maybe she thought that the 100,000 divorces in the UK each year, she was going to talk to everybody. I don't know, but anyway, that's only one. I'm in a separate coaching group, and I'm doing sort of a practitioner course specifically around relationships and breakup and divorce, and they are fantastic. They're really good, because it's predominantly female as well. And it's a bit like when I can remember going to a yoga class once, and I was the only male in there, and it feels a bit like that when I'm on a Zoom call with them all. But it's great, and they're all really supported. The lady who heads it up is great. She's just saying, we need more men in this space, and the area you're going into is brilliant. Men need men to coach them. So she's, all for it. Very, very, very positive. And that's what I love. That community aspect to me has been a real game changer. It's nice, with everything else you see going, definitely from a social media perspective, you do a bit of a doom scroll through Twitter and it's like, oh, blimey. But, so it's nice to step into these communities and forums where there is that, like-mindedness and positivity. It's great.
And that's why it's so important you share again about the values, and it is so important to know those, but to have a compelling vision and all of this, like we know, have your mission and be clear about what your purpose is, because those are the things that keep you grounded when it's tough. And like you say, you might just assume always a man, get on with it, going to the group of females, you should be loving it. And it's like, I've done the opposite, been with, male dominated. Like I said, there were 6 in the group and it was all males and then me. But actually, when your vision's so strong of where you want to be and the difference you want to make and the value you want to add, that's what keeps you aligned to that, and to when you had the tough times, or the times when you get the self-doubts of, oh, this is really hard, or I'm not getting anywhere. And that's the part for me that I love, and the journey and the patience with that. And this is all coaching. This is what you understand through coaching. It's so powerful. Yeah. It's not right.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think that's why I wanted to drill down to a specific niche, because ultimately you want to become an expert in that area. You want to become the go-to person, the voice of that particular area to look at. So that's really key for me. And it takes the pressure off a little bit. You can take your foot off the gas, and just say, well, this is giving me real clarity and focus. I know the area I'm into. It's a smaller area. You can invest all your time into it rather than worrying about, right, what's my client going to turn up with today? Are they going to want to discuss about relations? Or have they got another issue? Do they want, do they want to talk about their career? And, do they got money issues? And I find that would be hard to manage. So just to work in one area is great. It does ease a lot of pressure.
Yeah, I love that. So, really rich conversation. I love it. I kind of round off with some 5 key questions, more targeted at yourself. So, how do you measure success?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you know what? I've got success is one of the values for me. I think, I think I judge it different. I judge it differently. You get to a different phase of your life. I think years ago, 20 years ago, success would have been about those promotions and earning more money and recognition that way. Yeah. Now, I think recognition's still key, but I think in different ways. Probably success is for me is about is giving something back. I mean, I think that quote you mentioned from Tony Robbins is really, really key. And it's giving something back, feeling personally satisfied with that. And self-development, that has been the real key point for me. Years ago since I did examinations, you're talking into the mid-90s when I did my last examination. And to now sort of be doing diplomas, and it's just the Coaching Academy has been that real catalyst for learning, and I'm just enjoying it so much, in such a relaxed way. And I think continue that self-awareness, self-care, self-development, that for me is success personally, definitely.
Brilliant. What would you tell your younger self?
Patience, absolutely. I mean, that's really a real key thing that's come out of this, and I'm enjoying that level of patience now as well. But without a doubt, it's just don't feel you need to do that classic path that they tell you to do. And I did it, school, college, university, graduate job, and promotion, chase the dollar. And no need. Go and get go and get some more life experience, go and travel more, still kick myself when, I had still have family over in Australia. Should have done it when I was younger. Nothing stopping me doing it now, but it would have been different back then, and it's to give yourself permission just to learn outside of a classic academic area. Don't worry too much. Things will happen. I do believe, if you, it's important to have a strong work ethic. Because I think, if you work hard, things will come your way. But yeah, patience without a doubt, and still one of my mantras now.
Really, really important. Really important. Yeah. What do you want to be known for?
It's a big question. I think for me it is that whole piece about giving something back. That's really important to me. As I said, from a values perspective, it is about helping others, being authentic in that, and I think making a change. This whole bit, I touched on earlier about this, the family law process. I think there is something quite game changing that can be done within the legal industry. I really do. Just from it's not there at the minute. There's there's so much potential, and it will take a real collaborative effort with legal firms and coaches and whoever in mediation teams. I think there's something there to make a real powerful positive change to shift that mindset of breakup and divorce in the UK. And I'd love to have a part in that. I'd love to be pivotal in that. But I think it just comes to being someone who's willing to help others is a really important factor for me.
Yeah, really interesting. What do you think people can do to live life? I guess taking that one step on, to be more purposeful?
What, for individuals to be more purposeful?
Yeah, in life, and feel that they've they know what they want to be known for, because many people don't.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I look at sort of the journey that I was on. I probably a few years ago, I was just in that treadmill and not going anywhere. And I think it's for people just to, start reflecting more, give themselves more time to invest in themselves. I think people are, will sort of be concerned about the cost of either doing coaching or the cost of doing a course or something like that, but will be willing to spend money frequently in other areas, and probably when they add it up, they could have done that. I think self-investment, go away and look at that, get a really good view of where your knowledge, your experience and passion is, and that leads you to your purpose as well. I think it's a really key that people do that. You can do it alongside. You don't have to do it at the jeopardy of giving up everything you're doing. If you've got a full-time job, you can run something on the side and get things going and dip your toe in and have a go. And I think that's the thing, just make that start. It's small steps. The thing one of the fundamentals, isn't it, the Coaching Academy, is where you start with that big dream, that big picture goal. Open that up. What does it look like? And then you just break it down in small steps and just do that. That's when patience comes in as well, and resilience, I think just make those steps, self-learning, self-development again, and just get some awareness of your own capability.
One final one, I added this last time actually, but it's really useful. What's been the book that's had the biggest impact on you?
Well, the book. I'd say for me, do you know what? It's probably it was one which came through the reading list through the Coaching Academy. And it's the Brian Tracy one, just on goals. I think it's fundamentally it's. I love its simplicity.
Yeah.
I love what it covers from a personal development perspective. I think in terms of habits and behaviours. It's great. I love the easy sort of 12-step processes that it takes you through in relation to relationships and well-being. Yeah, I just like how he writes, and because sometimes you can pick up these books and it's like, whoa, blimey, I feel like I need a degree in quantum physics to understand this or something.
Yeah.
But that's a really pivotal one. Also, one on emotional resilience. Which I'm reading at the minute. That's useful. But then I like just diving into things like the daily Stoic journals and things like that, and just quick fire. The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle.
Yeah,
I like. Again, it's quite, it's a thinking. You have to sort of put it down and pick it back up a few times. But for that equally is good. And then I think just in terms of looking at different coaching styles, there's one called Challenging Coaching. It's by John Blakey and Ian Day. And that's sort of moving coaching to that next level, where there is that, obviously it gives it away in the title, but a lot more challenge from the coach so probably a bit more, not judgmental, but I think a bit more direction, sort of verging more on sort of mentorship on it. So that's been, they're probably the key ones for me.
Yeah, and a lot of people say that you can go through your learnings and you have to understand the basics of coaching, but it does become dependent on what you do, sometimes more mentoring with it as well, but making that really clear to people, that, and then blend. A lot of the work I do is blending that, I think. That level of chat, and you just naturally feel more au fait with stuff, and you listen in a different way and everything as you progress, and like you've mastered your craft, aren't you, and you've always got room to get better. And I say this a lot to people, that you want a distinction or you want this qualification, but don't focus on that. You've got to focus on just being better, and you're not there yet. You're not great. I'm not great where I want to be. Just keep chipping away at that and being better every day, and thinking, oh, that didn't go so well, but that went really well. And then what do you need to change and continue, and then do it again. Keep going. Yeah,
definitely. And I think people get hung up on the wanting to be the finished article, or striving for perfection. But I think someone said you can strive for perfection knowing that you're never going to get it. And I like that, because it keeps you going in that direction. But you're not going to get perfection. It's different in everybody else's opinion and view of it anyway. And I see that a lot with, particularly in the community of, I've just passed, I've got a distinction, and it's like, that's fantastic, but I've not even given a second thought to where I will come out on that scale, because for me, I've already achieved far more than what I was expecting anyway, and the benefits to me personally far outweigh a rating that I'll be given, so tend to look at it that way.
Great stuff. Where can people find you?
So I've just got my website up and running, so I'll give that a bit of a refresh. So that's at relationshipimpactcoach.com, and also across using Relationship Impact Coach on Instagram as well. So they're the two main ones at the minute. Other social media platforms will follow, but again, one step at a time. I've got to live by my own coaching rules, really.
Look, I really enjoyed your shares, and your time I really value. So thank you for that.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks, Natalie. It's been really great.
Thank you for listening to my podcast today. I really hope you've taken some value. If you would like to focus on achieving your purpose-driven goals, then reach out and share with me one thing that's going great for you right now and one thing that you're really struggling with. Let's see if or how I can help you to leverage your business to make more money, make an impact, and have more freedom. As always, go take action, make an impact, and have a great day.